Let's begin.
Hey there, scary story fanatics. Welcome back to Cleaving Thought from Bone with your host, Sociopathic. Ever wanted to know more about the Omnus organization, but were too afraid to ask? Well, seems I was able to dig up some information from years past, a video meant to orient you on the machinations of dread. So, sit back and get ready to learn. It's time for Omnus Orientation.
So, you've just been hired and are now an employee of the Omnus Institute. That's great, but I'm sure you'll be floundering like a fish out of water, not knowing what to do or where to go. Well, fret not, my flounder friend, for that's what you're watching this training video for. In it, we'll cover the basics of the Omnus Institute and go over its various departments. There will be info, there will be some rules, and maybe, just maybe, we'll even have some fun with a few jokes. So, sit back, relax, take notes if need be, and pay close attention as we go over this, because all of it is very important. The first department we'll talk about is arguably the most menial and boring of the departments, though it's just as important as the others, if not more. That's right, we're talking about the Administration Department. The Administration Department manages the humdrum day-to-day business that the other departments can't. Like I said, menial and boring, but very important. And no, administration is totally not in complete control of your life. That's ridiculous. In fact, management works for you. We swear. Did you fall for it? Well, administration definitely doesn't control your life, probably, but they do oversee your work. Really, admin is the red tape, the bureaucracy, the suits, the higher-ups. In other words, the people that you blame for all the problems in your life, whether it is in fact their fault or not. They handle the accounting and finances, employment for the most part, assigning the newbies such as yourself, oversee the various departments and sub-departments of the Omnus Institute. They keep the money and resources flowing into this wonderful organization and more. To make a long explanation into a short and sweet summary, however, they do the talking, they make the calls, they send the interns, and they pay your bills. Anything else they do is on a need-to-know basis, and you most likely won't need to know. And before you start senselessly spreading nonsensical rumors and whack-job conspiracies about secret government collaboration or shady investors using our research for nefarious purposes, let me stop you right there and say that while we've collaborated on many projects with the United States and other governments, it doesn't really matter, as they don't usually get to see our work or know anything about it, as that isn't relevant to them. And we would not recommend snooping around, looking for such information. You would know if you were meant to know, and searching for this information is a waste of time and energy that would much better be spent working, instead of finding some useless information that really doesn't matter. So let's forget the nonsense and continue working for a better tomorrow. All that being said, it's time to move on to the next department, which is the Retriever Department. The Retriever Department is essentially the Defense/Retention Bureau of Omnus, not to be confused with the Defense R&D Subdepartment, which we'll discuss later, and is one of the most important cogs to keep the machine working. The retrievers are agents of the retriever department, and they are essential to keeping Omnus running smoothly and effectively. The retrievers are kind of like freelance or independent contractors to Omnus, but not independent. They work for us when we say to. However, they're free to do whatever they want when they're off duty. Speaking of, their job is to handle anything not covered by the other departments, though they get training in all of them. If a specimen, test subject, or volunteer needs to be collected, we send a retriever. If we need to release, recapture, or terminate a test subject, we send a retriever. If we need to silence a witness by any means necessary, including bribery, murder, or any other methods deemed appropriate, we send a retriever. The retrievers also act as a security force for the facility, ensuring that you are free to work safely and without worry. Now, I understand that the retrievers may make you somewhat uneasy at first, given their appearance, unidentifiable voices due to voice enhancers built into their helmets, tendency to not speak unless having a reason to, and refusal to discuss their life outside of Omnus. But I assure you, it's all completely out of necessity. After all, they're some of our most important assets. Having their identities leaked would be a nightmare for everyone. Luckily, not even they know. So, all in all, that's our brief summary of the Retriever Department. Now, let's move on to the other R&D departments. Hello, my name is Dr. Jacobs.
Nobody cares.
Ignore that. As I was saying, my name is Dr. Paul Jacobs. I'm the chief head of the Bio Subdivision of the R&D Department of Omnus. I'm sure you're wondering, what is the Bio Department and what does it do? Well, we cover most of the biological and botanical research in Omnus, working with the other departments and sub-departments as needed and applicable. If it's alive, is made of biological material, or has DNA, we're probably involved in researching it. We've done cloning, genetic modification, created new species, and so much more. Honestly, the things we're able to do, both in this department and the Institute as a whole, simply boggles the mind. It's so amazing. I have no doubt that whatever department you'll be working for, you're going to do great things. And before I go, I feel it's important to say this. If you have any questions or need help, no matter whether you're in the Bio Subdivision or not, please feel free to reach out to me personally, and I will do my damnedest, pardon my language, to help you in any way I can. And don't do anything you're unsure about without checking with a supervisor. We don't need another disaster like we're currently referring to as the Wyoming incident. And besides, I'd love to help in any way I can. So, feel free to contact me at any time. That'll be all from me. And it's time for the other department heads to explain their departments. Oh, and welcome to Omnus. Welcome, newbie, to the most exciting division of the Omnus organization. Or, at least it could be, with your help. The thing to remember with our robotic division is that it almost always works in tandem with all other divisions, from bioengineering to the retrievers. Everything except the administration department, because that would be silly. Yeah. Anyway, moving on, you'll want to take note of all our safety procedures, whether you're researching the latest in technical advancements, or whether you're haphazardly attempting to develop said technology for a grander purpose. Just remember, when researchers recommend a course of action, it's likely best to listen, or you could end up like one-armed Larry.
Don't be like me.
Thanks, Larry. Make sure to keep your limbs outside of operating zones for any robotics or android-type systems. There's no guarantee that any sentience has yet been given any directives that preserve life, and you never know what those technicians have been doing. Oh, you crazy guys. On a final note, if a specimen is brought into the division from the containment division, it is imperative that you follow their strict guidelines regarding worksite safety and handling procedures. Failing to do so could cost you more than a paycheck, though all we really care about is the paycheck. In the instance of a biotechnical malfunction and breaching containment, let security detail follow protocol and secure. There's no need to lose your life. Remember, don't be a hero. It's best to sacrifice those you work with in the name of self-preservation, or there'd be no one left to experiment on. I mean, report on what happened. I sure hope you learned much about our robotics division. All will let you know, that is. Together, we can cobble together and rig a better future. So, you've been assigned to the Defense Department. Well, there's no safer place to be, or at least you'd think. But just as with any other Omnus department, careful adherence to the rules will save you from mortal injury. That's why when researching new defense applications, my teams always take the utmost precautions, giving out safety gear to nearly all personnel, with only the unlucky ones coming up short. So make sure not to dally, be the first in line, and don't be one of those people. It's also important to note, and should be obvious, the Defense Research Department works closely with all other aspects of Omnus, from bioengineering to quantum studies. Literally, nothing is off limits. Developed applications are always fully tested before going into any kind of production, and tests are always carried out on inanimates or those that have been deemed volunteers by Omnus. Not everyone who is a volunteer may have actually volunteered. If you're having doubts, simply check the paperwork of your test subject, and you'll find the signature is indeed theirs, or at least viable. Remember, the #1 counter-agent to any of the facility's mishaps generally fall on the Defense Department's shoulders. It is you that keeps us in power, and we'll do everything we can to help you make sure it stays that way. Now it's time to learn a little bit more about our occult research and development departments. As much as we'll let you know anyway. Research comes in many forms here at the occult department, from incantations to blood sacrifices and everywhere in between. It may not be the most ethical approach, but remember, we're not the most ethical organization. Sometimes research outside the normal scope of human dealings demands a more drastic but still measured method of investigation. And of course, the same can be said about developments spawned from any of these so-called findings. Applications range from biotechnological to defensive to quantum, and everywhere in between. Though from previous precedent, most findings here lend themselves best to military and meta applications. It's important to note here that many of the equipment and items needed for research and developing these findings are more than priceless. That being said, you are the most valuable asset in protecting our actual most valuable assets. If a life-threatening incident does occur, it is imperative that any and all priceless artifacts be sealed and contained. Remember, we care about your well-being, but we also care about our assets, and our assets cannot be replaced. Though we try to take the utmost care with our workers' safety, of course, accidents do happen. Should you be assigned to the medical department, you will find all of the latest and modern equipment. Most days for medical personnel are filled with developing vaccines to viruses we have inadvertently created or have released to the public, and experimenting on new medical advancements and patients. All patients may or may not have volunteered. However, should a medical emergency arise, you may be faced with astounding conditions that you may not have seen before, including, but not limited to, quantum molecular reversal, interdimensional body lacerations, unintentional transmogrification, demonic possession, and a vast array of such things. Just remember, don't panic, and follow the instructions located in the Medical Personnel Manual. Plus, demons can smell fear, and the last thing you need is a salivating creature from another plane of existence honed in on your soul like a lunch. But in all seriousness, treat demons with respect whenever possible. Follow your manual's guidelines for maximum effectiveness, and maybe you'll be the next leader in our medical department. So, now that you've learned a little bit more about our organization and its departments, we hope you're better equipped to tackle what we expect of you. If you have any questions, remember, it's already most likely covered in your manual, and there's no need to contact administration with your concerns. Trust me, they're already aware. It is important to note that no one department is any more important than the other. All of our moving pieces overlap and serve to support all others. It is vital that you become a member of this well-oiled machine of sacrifice and personal gain. And if after watching this orientation video, you feel like maybe Omnus isn't the organization for you, don't worry, we've already made that decision, and our company wants you.
Well, we may not know everything there is to know, but we've learned all we're allowed, I suppose, and maybe gained a few insights between the lines, and between the screens. But if you desire more perpetual fear to ponder, stop by again next weekend. And until then, remember to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so I can catch you all again next Saturday.
Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.